Hello and welcome to Dukascopy TV. I'm Andrew Saks-McLeod, Chief Executive Officer of Finance Feeds. And today, joining me in the studio in Geneva, Switzerland, is Marc Spaelti. Hi, Marc.
Andrew, hi.
Marc is Chief Operating Officer of Dukascopy Bank. And Richard McLeod. Hi, Richard.
Hello.
Richard is a banking executive with 43 years' experience. So today, we begin with a question. How did we arrive at contactless payment systems, online banking, no real cash used in many places anymore? Where did this all start? How did banking systems evolve?
Now that's a challenging question. Of course, it goes back quite a few years.
It does.
If I think of it, how we used to have to queue at the teller just to be able to make a small withdrawal or a payment, I'm sure Richard has something to say how it was in those days.
Oh yes, queues were very they were very common, but very unpopular in its time, particularly at peak times during the bank opening hours, lunch hours.
Everyone had to go at the same time.
Absolutely, yes, a couple of hours in the lunch time.
Very inflexible working hours 30 years ago as well.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, there was a limited number of staff in each branch, but at peak times, they had to bring people from the back office forward, and back office people complained that they were not doing their work and might have to stay a bit later to complete it. But queues had to be dealt with, and the banks saw a way to do that by how do they alleviate the pressure on the cashier at the counter. And of course ATM machines came in, and that was one of the original automated pieces of technology that were brought in. And since then, there have been a lot of other technological
Of course, there has been
advances.
a great evolution. I mean,
yes.
At the time you were, as I said, you were able to withdraw cash from an ATM machine, then maybe it evolved into changing your PIN code, making simple payments. Even now today, certain banks have their machines that are there to do payment systems such as on e-banking. But of course, the amount of services that they were able to offer on a teller was probably limited as well.
It was indeed, yes. Tellers could only do certain transactions, but with the development of computerization and internet banking was introduced, which became more and more popular with the customers as the banks pushed it towards the customers, and they could do many or take advantage of many services that the banks offered by using internet banking themselves.
Would you consider this is very? I never thought of this before. We get so caught up in the very short 2 to 3 month development cycle of automated trading platforms, algo trading, the latest EAs, everything that's centered around modern retail trading. That's very interesting. Do you consider that the ATM machine, it was the very first interactive automation between customer and bank?
It was one of the first ones. There was interactivity, for example, in-house in banks with training, where they had systems to train the staff, rather than hands-on training with operating the machines historically. Right. But the banks found a need, and they had more and more. We go back to the expansion of the customer base for banks. They were attracting more and more customers, and the banks were becoming aggressive in attracting customers rather than being proactive to people coming in through the doors. People were not coming in through the doors by the same volumes when they were introducing technology.
That's right.
So
and now pretty much nobody does.
No, and the banks wanted to still sell their services and additional services provided by the banks, which could be accommodated through modern technology.
I just wanted to get on that point as well. I mean, nowadays, if you open either an online banking system or you open it on your smartphone, well, with your connection to the bank knows exactly who you are, what you are. They will push out where you are. They can push out the service to you and say, oh, maybe this product could interest you, without going through the whole process of having a staff at the desk that needs to know all these services.
Yes. And you can be geo-targeted. For example, we all travel every 2 weeks. Most people in the industry travel regularly. You land in a different country, you go to the airport, log on to the Wi-Fi, and then you immediately, the GPS sensor in your cell phone knows that. Your bank sends you an SMS message saying, convert your dollars into euros here at this online, and then collect it at a thing. So you've done effectively a contactless, direct physical delivery of foreign exchange just by geo-targeting.
Exactly. Yeah. It's I mean, the possibilities obviously are endless, and nowadays the latest thing is a lot of banks and servicers are pushing for new payment systems. Contactless payment systems,
like the Apple payment system.
Apple payment systems, etc. So I think we still have further developments to look forward to.
Yes, I think that's right. Do you think that there's ever going to be a less demand for fiat currency, standard fiat currency, because it's now so contactless and automated that you can go into a restaurant and pay through your phone. You can go to a bus. In some places in the world, you can go to a bus and pay with your phone because they don't accept cash anymore. This is something which will be, Switzerland, for example, was one of the very first countries to get the actual central government to regulate Bitcoin. So, and that Bitcoin is one of those, it's peer-to-peer, so it's one of those things, but the technology behind it is interesting. So Switzerland allows Bitcoin exchanges. SBEX founded itself here, and then there's lots of Bitcoin ATMs now. So you can actually use it through your mobile phone to download your Bitcoins from the ATM and then pay back here in Switzerland. So that's quite interesting as well.
That is very interesting indeed. But now I think you're starting to get on a political edge here, where a lot of countries are probably not yet able or willing to give up independence of the
sovereign currency. Yes,
absolutely.
Yes, I think you're right.
But cash has become less and less used anyway.
Yeah.
With the debit card and the credit card, and there is still a push now to try and eliminate. I'm not sure that they would eliminate it, cash altogether, by the use of cards. And you mentioned the technology like the mobile phone for making payments, because cash is a problem because it needs to be secure. It needs to be transported to the point of delivery, whether it's a cash point machine, an ATM, or whether it's to a traditional bank branch.
I think the solution will be relatively easy. They will start to increase fees when you use ATM machines.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. Exactly what they do. It's the same principle as when in the music industry the cassette became obsolete, the compact disc then became obsolete. Then they went on to online music, which was much cheaper, so that you could download that. Retail banks now. I have a private banking. If I go to the counter, it's 1.5 times more, 3.5 times more expensive to make a transaction over the counter than through the automated machine outside or on the internet, which is pretty much free.
Exactly.
So they're trying to encourage you to get away from that altogether. So that's kind of a sign of the future, I think.
Yeah.
So very interesting indeed. Thank you very much for joining me, Richard McLeod and Marc Spaelti. See you soon.
Thank you, Andrew.
I'm Andrew Saks-McLeod, CEO of Finance Feeds. You're watching Dukascopy TV. See you again next time. Goodbye.